Are you following Super Rugby Pacific? Stick around, I'll share my insights on round 13. Let's take a look at who's going to find their way into the 8 from here. Hey everyone, it's Coach H here, and you've found Inspired by Union, a channel where I discuss Southern Hemisphere rugby. Let's dive right in. So week 13 of Super Rugby Pacific ahead of us. After a really competitive round 12, we do have a few mismatches here in terms of form and talent to navigate across the weekend. Let's take a look at who can solidify their position in the 8 or who can move into it. Hurricanes versus Moana Pacifica. After an epic encounter in Auckland, Coach Laidlaw has made wholesale changes this week, resting some of his big names, bringing in some of his wider squad members in order to freshen players up, give those new players an opportunity to find some form in case of what if. Despite the changes, the Canes will be back to business as usual against a Moana side that's unfortunately limping to the finish line. There's no question Moana Pacifica have improved greatly under Umanga. They're just missing a couple of hardened professionals in order to drag the youngsters in the group through. The Canes will have too much firepower with Flanders and Karifi freshening up the loose forward unit. Balin Sullivan gets another week in midfield after really impressing with his opportunity at Eden Park. For Moana, Havili Talitui and Anisi generate so much of their sides go forward, and they're going to have a real handful this week going up against the Hurricanes Lucies. Jonathan Tomatini brings a running threat from 9, which adds to the attacking shapes in their arsenal. Canes in a canter by 14. Melbourne Rebels versus the Chiefs. This game is shaping up as the last home game for the Rebels, with no guarantee that the side survives into next season. In a congested sporting market with AFL the big fish, NRL side the Storm being such a successful franchise, and the A-League doubling its number of teams, the Rebels haven't had the on-field success or off-field management to really stake a claim in the city. In terms of this week, a hard-earned losing bonus point such as last week may be the best avenue for points for the Rebels. That would take them to 26 points on the ladder and either 6th or 7th after the weekend of action. The Chiefs, meanwhile, not the fluid attacking beast of 23, are quietly going about their business. D-Mac returns to run the cutter and Sean Stevenson returns in the custodian's role. The Chiefs' ability to generate lightning quick ball will be too much for the Rebels' defence to handle. They'll grind out a win by 7. Fijian Ndrua versus the Reds. The last time the Reds visited the islands, they copped a hiding, which makes this game so hard to call. Ndrua have been going through a rough patch, but they'll be happy to return home to Suva. With overcast conditions and a chance of late thunderstorms, it's imperative that the Reds get off to a fast start. Nullifying the threats of Marcy and Ravutamata by spoiling continuity with aggressive defence should be order of the day without the ball, whilst turning the defence around from the Ndrua by punching holes, getting their head through contact and working hard on contestable kicks should be the plan with the ball. For the home side, they cut a frustrated figure on the road in the cool autumn weather in the Antipodes, and a return to warmer climes may help them get their mojo back this week. I'm going the Reds by 3 in Golden Point. Brumbies versus the Crusaders. This game always appeals to a neutral, with these teams putting some absolute classics out in their storied history. Fans tuning in this week will be of the will they, won't they variety in terms of the Crusaders making finals. The home side is a quality outfit and should have too much firepower to succumb on their home track. A beefed up pack sees Nick Frost move from the second row into blindside in a signal that the Brumbies are prepared to roll up their sleeves in the small numbers and get the job done there. Tua and Ikitau are an underrated midfield that's been putting teams to the sword of late. They have power and creativity for their outsides, a double genuine threat. Cody Taylor leads a salvage job as skipper and is joined by old head Moody up front. Fergus Burke returns to drive the ship around, and this 10 has been sorely missed by injury as the side struggles to replace their quarterback who's moved north to make the yen. Brumbies in a tight affair by 5. Blues versus the Highlanders. The Blues are getting back to the number 1 ticket in town as the NRL threat of the Warriors. Their team is on the slide. Their fall from grace makes fans decide where they're going to spend their hard-earned cash for the weekend. With bums on seats providing healthy numbers against the Canes, the Landers don't quite have the pulling power of the number 2 side in the comp. However, everyone likes a winner. After a mature performance from Harry Plummer last week, he'll be looking to hold on to his rich vein of form. Perifetta returns from injury via the bench. The Landers have multiple threats across the park. However, they found scoring tries difficult against a resilient Crusaders side last week. Expect them to employ mayhem and chaos at the breakdown, with chop tackles being the order of the day. Ratumai Tavuki Needkins will want to do well against his old franchise as he returns to Eden Park. The Blues will take 60 minutes to snuff out the fight from the Southern man before opening the floodgates and going on to win easy by 21. Force versus the Waratahs. All the talk this week has been around the spate of injuries that sees 16 of the Waratahs players on the sideline. It really is an issue that a spate of soft tissue and load management could undo a campaign so glaringly. Coleman will be the fall guy here, but the whole strength and conditioning unit probably needs to be cleaned out. The Force, meanwhile, will be hoping that both the Landers and Ndrua can fall as they try to make their way into the 8. Either way, they will know the results from these 2 teams before they start their job in the West. Donaldson and White continue to develop their continuity, and interestingly, Rugby AU denied an early release from Jake Gordon this week. So there's a fight between these 2 nines for higher honours going forward. The power game of Tizano and Prinsep is the difference in this encounter as the Force go on to win by 7. If you're finding these insights helpful, consider pressing the subscribe button, hitting the bell for more insights from me before and after each round every week. Expect a few broken hearts this week with a few teams gone from the finals equation by Sunday. I'm Coach H and you've been watching Inspired by Union.